call. James Shaw, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, a number of the people who have spoken before in this debate have mentioned the level of public interest in this debate, and I think as the House of Representatives is fairly empty for it, it is actually quite representative of the level of public interest in this. So this is one of those occasions where the House, interest in the House does seem to roughly represent the level of interest outside it. My personal view as a modern New Zealander is that we do need to change our flag, and that we need a flag that tells all of our stories. In general, the Green Party supports the idea of a public referendum to adopt a new flag that better represents a more independent and multicultural identity of present-day New Zealand. We do want the public to have a say on this issue, and we will be supporting this bill to Select Committee. There are 3 points that I'd like to make about this bill, however. First of all, I'd like to say that, as my colleague Dr Kennedy Graham indicated, the flag has long been regarded as an antiquated relic of empire. While between 1840 and 1902 the Union Jack was the official flag of New Zealand, the current flag was gazetted in 1869 and used aboard New Zealand ships. In 1902, a statute instituted the current design as the official flag of New Zealand on land and sea. This flag's design reflects a desire to identify New Zealand as self-governing, but essentially still a British colony in nationality, culture and outlook. Does anyone here think that New Zealanders today still think of themselves as British? And I say this as someone who is a proud Kiwi, born in this country, raised in this country, and am also a naturalised British citizen. The New Zealand of 2015 is a multicultural independent society, and our links with Britain are more economic than cultural. Having lived in the United Kingdom for the better part of 13 years, it is very clear to me that our countries are extremely different, although it's clear that we've got, still family and historical cultural relationships with that country. It is a different country. According to the 2013 census, 12% of the New Zealand population identifies as Asian, and the number is expected to grow in the next few decades. 12% of our population identifies as Māori, but our current flag ignores the Indigenous people of this land. If a flag is supposed to be a symbol of national identity, the current flag is inadequate. The second thing that I would like to say is that we do have concerns about the proposed process that's been outlined in the bill. Having 2 referendums is costly and unnecessary. The government, in fact, argued against the citizens-initiated referenda on asset sales last year on the basis of cost, that it was costly and unnecessary, and now they're giving us 2 referendums over a flag rather than over the economic direction of the country. The government is proposing having 1 referendum to determine a viable alternative before a second FPP referendum between the alternate and the current flag. In our view, it would be much cheaper to simply have 1 preferential voting referendum between the current flag and a number of alternatives. Other countries' experience suggests alternate approaches the government might consider. In Canada, the maple leaf flag has been referred to as one of the more successful changes of flag, was adopted in 1965 after their Prime Minister formed a committee to consider the flag question. In Jamaica, Parliament approved a new flag on the recommendation of a special committee that had sifted through public submissions. The third and final point that I'd like to make is that there is a need for a wider constitutional debate, that we are putting the cart before the horse in looking at the symbol of our country. As this government moves into its 3rd term, its focus on populist gestures over meaningful reform is becoming ever more apparent. Instead of tackling broader questions about the Constitution, the Prime Minister is attempting to distract the public with a flag debate. As I said previously, we support the principle of changing the flag, but would prefer that to be part of a broader debate, not a political stunt. For instance, the government could tackle electoral reform. The Electoral Commission recommended changes to MMP after the 2011 referendum, but the government refused to enact them because they wanted to protect their support partners. There was a constitutional review in which a huge amount of extremely good work was done, and that similarly has gone to ground. One other question is, should we remain a constitutional monarchy, or should we have a Kiwi head of state? What are the prospects for greater Māori autonomy or self-governance? We don't pretend to have a monopoly on wisdom regarding those issues, which is why we believe the government needs to initiate a public debate that goes beyond the flag that we fly.
Sorry, the member's time has expired.